Good morning. It's a great pleasure to be here. This is not my usual crowd and audience. I'm a computer scientist, high-performance computing, you might call traditionally supercomputing expert, but very recently, of course, the worlds of high-performance computing, supercomputing, and machine learning have converged, and I will talk about this a little bit. So, if you look in the world of science, where I'm coming from at machine learning, I'd say there are three important factors. And I think there has been a lot of excitement about machine learning in the last couple of years, but it's really three different things that have come together, and you may be quite well aware of it, and it's data, algorithms, and machines. And there has been progress in all three. Big data has been something that has been discussed for a decade or longer. Big data always has been in science. There's a beautiful picture of the cosmic microwave background radiation that tells us something about the early expansion of the universe. These, for example, astronomical observations are generating literally petabytes of data and have done so for a long time. Algorithms was where there has been most recent progress, and in particular, of course, with convolutional networks, deep learning. But these algorithmic improvements have been also built on maybe 20, 30, 40 years of investments in AI and in machine learning algorithms. The reason they were very successful, and I think this is the reason why I'm here, is that the machines have also grown significantly in compute power over the last 5, 6, 7 years. And of course, probably most of you are using, say, accelerators such as GPUs from NVIDIA or other vendors. Their arrival and their use for machine learning has basically brought these three elements together. And I think that combines what my world is representing, science, with the world of finance. So I want to talk a little bit about the three things here: data, algorithms, and machines. What I want to show here in terms of the data is that how machine learning in science is very similar to machine learning in what you probably read about in the public literature. What you're seeing on the bottom is a very interesting set of pictures which come out of climate simulations. So in these climate simulations, the large supercomputers anticipating what climate will look like over decades. What you see here is a picture specifically that has been done on the basis of simulation, which shows the precipitation and the water, in a sense, vapor density vertically integrated over the ocean. So this is, as you can recognize, a picture of the Pacific Ocean. So if we want to, for example, assess climate change, we're running many of these simulations for scientists who do climate science, and run these different simulations with different initial conditions. So for example, they say, let's assume the ocean is 1 degree warmer, and then you run the same simulation, and then you count the hurricanes. Now, if you look at this picture very quickly, you can actually say, oh, I recognize that spiral, that's probably a hurricane. But up to very recently, this counting has been done pretty much by hand, sort of by graduate student labor. The arrival of machine learning has saved countless theses or countless students from doing for 3 years of tedium before they could write a thesis. We can go in and look at literally petabytes of computer simulation data and count hurricanes and come to some important conclusions on the frequency of hurricanes, the relative strength of hurricanes. And so one very important result was that, and this relates very much back to what you're doing, is one important result that was recently presented just in December last year from my colleagues who do this work in Berkeley, was that they did an analysis back on the hurricanes of last fall, in particular the hurricane that hit Houston, and said they can actually ascertain with a probability of more than 30%, more than 60% that the hurricane had more than 30% the normal rainfall because of the warming in the Gulf of Mexico. So they can make probabilistic statements on how they can attribute climate change to measured behavior like the increase in surface temperature in the ocean. So how this is all possible is with these large-scale supercomputers. This is one of the supercomputers, and so we have, and so this is a connection with Marcus and also with David, used supercomputers to do several of these financial analysis applications, which is, I think, giving you a new tool which allows you to do more data and try much larger algorithms. This is my world, is the world of high-performance computing. So if you look at the high-performance computing world, the high-performance computing technology also has embraced the same fundamental application technologies such as GPUs, and GPUs are driving a lot of the growth in high-performance computing in the supercomputers. So this is an example, again, this climate simulation that I showed you before. A measure that is being used in high-performance computing is petaflops or exaflops. These are 10 to the 15 million floating point operations a second. So that's 15 times 10 to the 15 floating point operations a second. So this is in today's HPC world, top of the line. So in order to do these type of applications, the algorithms that are being used have to be scaled up to this level of parallelism. The Cori system has of the order of close to 100,000 different cores, so this is parallelism plus tuning to the architecture. This is the same work that will benefit if you tune financial algorithms to this. So with this algorithm tuned to a very high level, Marcos mentioned the Gordon Bell Prize. My colleagues here have an entry for the 2018 Gordon Bell Prize Award, claiming that this is one of the highest performing supercomputer simulations that is using machine learning. So the last point I want to make is this old picture. So why an old picture? You see some of the giants of physics of the 20th century, Oppenheimer and Lawrence and Seaborg and others on this picture. The important thing about this old picture is that this is the history of the national labs is large team science. And I think this is what I'm trying to lead to in my presentation is that also in applying machine learning to science, it has to be a team exercise because the expertise that you need in algorithms, in data, and in machines is very different. And you need to have all expertise together making progress if you want to apply machine learning to scientific data. The data expertise is important because you cannot really use scientific data as a black box. You need to know, in a sense, the provenance of the data, where they come from, and what models are behind those data. So you need a data science expert, you need a machine learning algorithm expert. That is a person who is really an algorithmic expert. That person does not necessarily need to know what the machine architecture is. And then, of course, you need the machine architecture, that is a computer scientist who knows how to put an algorithm very efficiently on such a high-performance computing platform. I think that lesson is a lesson that's very important also for your community, simply because I think just hiring one gifted data expert is not going to solve the problem. You need to have at least a small team that covers algorithms, data, and machines. And so with that, I'll leave you to think about this, and I'm looking forward to the panel discussion. Thank you.